Exposed, millionaire husband divorces wife, but her incredible fight reveals a life-changing truth. Sarah stood at the center of her meticulously kept kitchen, surrounded by the faint aroma of fresh basil and tomatoes, when the news hit her like a thunderbolt. Mark, her husband of 15 years, had filed for divorce. The reason he gave echoed in her ears, leaving behind a chilling emptiness: "You're unambitious." Tears burned her eyes as she processed the betrayal. 1,000 Sunday gatherings, late-night conversations, and moments of laughter fast faded to a chilling reminder of how little he truly understood her. She had poured her heart into their family, juggling 3 kids, school events, and the comforting meals that were her love language. Yet here she stood, feeling as if she had lost everything. The neighborhoods whispered, friends offered for sympathy while questioning when she'd finally do something, anything, of her own. It turned her stomach. What about her ambition? Did it not hold weight within the 4 walls of her home? Days of endless laundry and school drop-offs began blurring into a haze, the dreams she once tucked away simmering like an untended pot of water bubbling just under a boiling point. Then she discovered it, an old family recipe book, forgotten on a dusty shelf, filled with memories of her grandmother's laughter as she whipped up chicken dumplings. It was like finding a part of herself she thought lost. With each turn of the page, her spirit reignited. Cooking wasn't just survival, it was a craft, a form of expression, an ambitious pursuit of delight. And so, a fire sparked inside her. Sarah, once the devoted homemaker, began building a catering business from her humble kitchen. Each dish was a declaration of her worth. The kitchen transformed into a space not just for meals but dreams, filled with the laughter of her children as they helped mix batter and pour sauces. Slowly, her self-esteem, once simmered down to ashes, began to rise a phoenix with every encouraging smile from neighbors and friends. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Business was building like a soufflé rising in the oven, and Sarah found herself at the local market, forging connections with suppliers and other small business owners. Yet, shadows of doubt loomed. Whispers swirled around her like autumn leaves. Could she truly succeed? What would the neighbors say if she faltered? But she pushed them away, channeling that tension into flavor and technique. Charging forward, she felt ready to demand answers from Mark. "You think I'm unambitious?" she'd confront him, fists clenched. That electrifying moment awaited her. She'd show him that ambition wasn't defined by societal norms but by her choices, the choices of a woman who could build beauty and create joy from nothing. But just as a catering business was hitting its stride, a chilling revelation about Mark's intentions knocked the wind out of her. Would this shocking piece of information bring her down, or could it serve as the catalyst needed to seize her destiny once and for all? Sarah's heart raced. All she knew was this: she wasn't finished fighting. Not yet. The morning sun streamed through the kitchen window, illuminating the chaos that had become Sarah's life. Flour dust motes floated lazily in the warm air while pots simmered on the stove, filled with her latest culinary creations. Business was thriving, but the shadow of Mark's words lingered like a ghost at the edges of her joy. She flipped the pancake on the griddle and heard the faint chime of her phone. With a mix of hope and apprehension, she wiped her hands on a kitchen towel and checked the message. It was from the local food blogger, Emily, a rising influencer well known for her engaging posts. "I'd love to feature you in my next segment." The text read. Sarah's heart soared, but a small voice of doubt crept in. Was she ready for that kind of exposure? Images of cooking for friends and family popped into her head, but this would thrust her into the public eye. Her kitchen, her haven, could quickly become a stage. "Mom, can we taste the cookies now?" Her youngest son, Ben, tugged at her apron, his face plastered with innocent excitement. "Of course, sweetie," she replied, beaming down at his eager expression. In that moment, the reminder of her purpose hit her. This wasn't just about Mark anymore, this was about her children, her dreams, her chance to create something that mattered. As she watched Ben take a tentative bite, his face lighting up with joy, Sarah felt a renewed sense of determination wash over her. The article could be the push she needed to take her business further, to solidify her place as the accomplished woman she had always been inside, even if others couldn't see it. That afternoon, while she prepped lunch for the kids, Sarah's phone buzzed again. She opened it to see a notification that stopped her cold. A friend had shared a news article. Mark's engagement announcement, read the headline, shockwaves rippling through her heart. There he stood, arm in arm with a younger woman, his face beaming with unrestrained happiness. The betrayal twisted inside her, cutting deeper than she thought possible. "You're unambitious," she remembered him saying, over and over, but he found someone who shared his vision. A primal instinct rose in her, anger mixed with sadness, but more than that, an unwillingness to accept defeat. That night, alone in her bedroom, Sarah let herself cry. Each tear spilled out a fragment of hurt, a part of the life she thought she knew. But as the weight of those emotions began to lift, clarity struck. She would not be pushed down. With each drop of sorrow shed, resilience grew stronger. The next morning felt different. Sarah didn't just rise, she soared. She posted a new menu on her blog and decided to announce her upcoming video feature with the local influencer. And there, in the comments section, a line caught her eye. "Can't wait to see how far you go. Your story inspires me." Something sparked inside her, lighting a fire that she hadn't felt in years. This was not just a catering business, this was her declaration to the world. But following the announcement, a part of her wondered. What would Mark say when he saw her shining? Would he regret his words? The thought both thrilled and terrified her. The next few days flew by in a whirlwind of phone calls and tastings. Just as business was taking off, a turmoil arose in the form of Mark's unexpected visit. Harnessing a sense of calm and confidence, Sarah braced for a confrontation that would change everything. Could she really confront the man who broke her? What would happen when she finally voiced her truth? Heart pounding, she opened the door, ready for whatever was to come next. Standing at the threshold of her own home, Sarah felt the air thicken around her. The familiar contours of the doorway framed a moment so different from the days when she and Mark shared laughter and dreams. Today, it was just shadows and unspoken words. He stood there, hands stuffed in the pockets of his jacket, his face a mix of uncertainty and resolve. "Sarah," he began, his voice unsteady, as if he were testing the waters of a once familiar sea. "What are you doing here, Mark?" She managed to keep her voice steady, but inside her heart raced. The hurt rolled off her like waves crashing against rocks, sharp and relentless. She could see the boyish charm of him, the same features she once adored, but now they only felt like reminders of a past in which she had lost herself. "I heard about your blog." "The feature," he said, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "You're doing great things. Why are you really here?" She challenged, an unexpected fire igniting within her. Mark hesitated, and for a moment, she saw vulnerability slip into his posture. "I wanted to see if we could talk. I've been thinking about how things ended, how I treated you." Hearing those words felt like digging up moss-covered roots. They stirred memories of their broken home, the harsh words that had pushed her to the edge. "Why would I want to talk about anything with you? You've moved on, remember? A flash of pain crossed his face. I know. But I was wrong. I didn't see your dreams as real. I thought you were happy with the life we had, he said, desperate for understanding. But I can see now what I did, and I regret it. There was something in his tone that made her heart ache for the boy she once loved. But the woman she had become reaffirmed her strength. You were wrong, Mark. I wasn't happy, and you never allowed me to explore my potential. I shouldn't have dismissed you, he pleaded, stepping closer, vulnerability turning to fear. I was caught up in my own world, thinking I needed someone who mirrored my ambitions. I trusted you'd always be, well, complacent. She took a deep breath, gathering the fragments of her shattered heart. I'm not complacent. I'm finally blooming. It took me a long time to realize that I had dreams worth fighting for. The warmth of her voice clashed against the ice of his realization. She paused, the weight of her words filled the silence. Had she really found her voice? And what if I told you I'm inspired? That I want to support you, not just out of obligation anymore. I see your growth, Sarah, he said, his voice softer, almost pleading. Inspired? She scoffed. Look around, Mark. The kitchen behind her was a whirlwind of her small business aspirations created with passion and love. You didn't inspire me. You wanted to snuff out my flame. I refuse to let that happen again. His expression darkened, realization dawning on him. I never thought I thought you thought wrong, she cut him off. It's not too late for me, but I want to wait for you to catch up. A moment stretched between them, heavy with everything that had been said and even more that hung unspoken. She gulped back emotions swirling inside, unsure of their direction. The crack of their shared past felt monumental, like a cliff ready to crumble, and it terrified her. Just then, a giggle erupted from behind her. Ben had appeared at the staircase, drawn by the tension. He smiled wide, completely unaware of the storm hovering above. Mom. Is this Mr. Mark? Can he breakfast with us? I want to show him the cookies. Sarah's heart skipped. The boy was an anchor in this tumultuous sea. She turned back to Mark, who wore an expression that seemed lost, a confused man standing in a doorway that used to lead to love. I need to think, Mark, she said, her voice steady and firm. My life has taken a turn that involves my children. I want to let you be a part of it unless you meet me where I am. He opened his mouth, perhaps to plead, but Sarah raised her hand slightly, signaling the end of this conversation for now. As Mark finally stepped back, confusion swirling in his eyes. Sarah felt the weight of her decision settling on her shoulders like an empowering cloak of resolve. She locked the door, sealing a chapter behind her, but opened the window towards brighter horizons. What would the future bring now that she stood on her own? And could she, after all, forgive the man who had once dulled her spirit? The echoes of potential lingered as Sarah returned to her kitchen, her heart louder than ever before. The sun streamed through the kitchen window, a golden light washing over the chaos of flour, sugar, and the hopes pinned to every mixture. Sarah took a moment to steady herself, the vibrant colors of her workspace stuck against the storm of thoughts still swirling about Mark's visit. Ben's innocent chatter broke her reverie as he bounced on the balls of his feet, clutching a plate of their latest baking experiment. Look, Mom. I made extra cookies just for you. His eyes sparkled, lightening the heaviness in the air. As she bent down to meet his eager gaze, warmth seeped into her chest. They look amazing, buddy. How about we decorate them? The simple joy on Ben's face reminded her what truly mattered. In his laughter, she felt a resilient pulse of hope, a contrast to the uncertainty lingering just outside her door. After a busy hour of sprinkles drowning the cookies, Sarah finally plopped onto the kitchen chair, exhaustion snuggling in beside her. But as Ben's giggles echoed around her, she couldn't help feeling grateful for this moment. Everything was not perfect, far from it, but it was theirs. The gentle clang of the back door interrupted her thoughts. Sarah glanced up, her heart momentarily skipping. Was Mark back? A twinge of anxiety knotted in her stomach, but she shook it off, focusing on the joyful chaos in front of her. "Mom!" Ben cried, his voice bursting with excitement as he ran into the living room, his small hands now sticky with frosting. "Can I take some cookies to the neighbors? I want to share." "Absolutely. That's a great idea." Sarah smiled, proud of her little one. The kindness she had instilled in him was like a beacon against everything they endured. "Can I ask Mrs. Hargrove about the garden? She has a lot of flowers. I think I want to plant some at the park." His enthusiasm was contagious, and Sarah felt warmth blossom in her chest. "Of course, but take a bag, okay? We don't want to drop any." As Ben hurried out, Sarah grabbed a few cookies and followed him outside. The sun responded, brightening her path as she strolled into the day. The scent of fresh pine and blooming flowers filled her lungs, surroundings reminding her of the beauty that crept in even after a storm. But a shadow loomed just beyond. Mark's words from earlier echoed faintly in her mind. Could he really change? Did he even want to? As she walked to the neighbors, feelings oscillated between hope and doubt, gnawing away at her. She leaned against a tree, watching Ben interact with Mrs. Hargrove, who beamed as he handed her a cookie. The old woman's laughter rang like music, wrapping around Sarah like a comforting quilt. "What about this?" Sarah said to herself, a determination swelling within her. "You're not just a reflection of someone else. You've shared your dreams, fought for them. You are still here, standing tall." Just then, an unexpected noise broke her thoughts, a car engine pulling up the driveway. Her heart raced as she turned. The familiar silhouette stepped out, and it took her breath away. "Sarah!" Mark called, his voice slicing through the air. The sight of him made her pulse quicken. She glanced back at Ben, who waved at her momentarily before turning his attention back to the flowers. Could she face Mark again? Could she handle this conversation, whatever it meant? As Sarah locked eyes with him, a surge of resolve filled her. The afternoon sun glinted off the horizon, chasing shadows away. She could either run or stand her ground. And for the first time in a long time, she felt free. "Can we talk now?" he said, his voice tinged with something she hadn't heard before, fear or maybe hope. Sarah inhaled deeply, ready to confront the man who had once dimmed her light. She stepped forward, an avalanche of feelings crashing around her. What would she say? Could she weave forgiveness into her narrative? With each step into uncertainty, she felt a strength building inside. Mark wouldn't be allowed to dictate her future. But the real question was, could he be a part of it again? Her heart raced, the night closing in, and the real talk lay waiting just ahead. Feeling the weight of Mark's gaze, Sarah searched for the words she needed to say. The garden's fresh air around her began to feel dense, like the unsaid tension thickening the space between them. "Why are you here, Mark?" The words slipped out, sharper than she intended. He winced slightly, his expression uncertain. I know I messed up. I shouldn't have left like that. I didn't realize what I had until it was gone." His honesty, raw and unfiltered, knocked the breath from her. Could it be real? She noticed the way his eyes darted nervously, holding a mixture of vulnerability and longing. But how could she trust that this time would be any different? "I don't understand." Her voice trembled. "You had your chance, and you threw it away." Mark took a careful step closer, as if he were afraid to startle her. I know. I've been working on myself. I went to therapy. I want to do better for me. And for you, and Ben. The mention of Ben made Sarah's heart tighten painfully. She had fought tooth and nail to protect him from the chaos that had once surrounded their family. He deserved stability. I don't want to put him through more hurt, Mark. He has been through enough. I know. His voice softened, almost like a plea. I want to change, really. But I need you to meet me halfway. Just give me a chance to show you. Those words hung in the air, heavy and haunting. Could she possibly allow the past to creep back in? The scars were still fresh. The night spent tossing and turning, questioning her worth. It was all still there. What does that even look like? She finally replied, desperation leaking through. You think a few nice words are going to fix everything? No, no. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration flickering in his features. It will take time. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I want to be there for you both. I want to be the man you once believed I could be. Sarah felt torn, swelling with conflicted emotions. She looked away, trying to find clarity among the thoughts swirling in her mind. She had always believed in second chances, but this felt like a risk painted with the weight of expectations. Please, Sarah, Mark urged, his voice barely above a whisper. I want to earn your trust again. I miss you. I miss us. There it was, the pull of nostalgia tugging at her heart. Memories weaved through her, a flash of laughter shared, quiet moments on the porch, fights that turned to reconciliations. But amidst this comfort lay a bitter reminder of betrayal. Maybe I just need time, she replied finally. But I can't promise anything. Time. I'll take that. Relief washed over his face. With her heart still uncertain, Sarah took a step back. But there are boundaries, Mark. You need to understand that. His expression shifted. Of course. Whatever it takes. As they stood there, framed by the setting sun, Sarah felt a flicker of hope. But what did it truly mean? Could they rebuild from shambles, or were they just setting themselves up for another fall? The weight of her decision loomed large. Could she allow herself to trust again, standing at this crossroads? Just then, Ben came bounding back towards them, plans from Mrs. Hargrove tucked under his arm. Mom. Look. I wanna plant these. His bright smile lit up the world around them. Sarah's heart swelled with love for her son, reminding her of what truly mattered. She brushed her hair back, forcing a smile as she approached him. Those are beautiful, Ben. Mark shifted his eyes from Sarah to their son, a momentary sparkle of connection passing between them. But would that sparkle survive the shadows of the past? As Ben looked up at her, bursting with joy and innocence, Sarah felt the flicker of hope battling against fear. But she had a choice to make, one that could define their future. The air buzzed with tension, and for the first time, Sarah wondered not just about Mark's willingness to change, but her own. What part would she play in shaping the next chapter of their lives? She looked at Mark, who stood waiting, his emotions laid bare. And suddenly, she couldn't help but wonder what if. This path led her somewhere unexpected, to a bravery she didn't know she had. Ben's laughter filled the garden, bright and full of life. It warmed Sarah's heart, flooding her with a sense of purpose. Watching her son kneel on the ground, fingers digging into the rich soil, she felt a spark of clarity amidst the chaos. Let us find the right spot. Ben exclaimed, his little hands cradling the fragile plants like a treasure. Mark stepped closer, eyes fixed on Ben's enthusiasm. The way he looked at their son, a mixture of pride and emotion, startled Sarah. Could they truly create a new dynamic? One that wouldn't spiral back into the wreckage of their past. Maybe over there, Mark suggested, pointing to a sunny corner where the flowers could thrive. It'll get plenty of sunlight. For a moment, the three of them were lost in simple joy. Ben giggled, oblivious to the weighty silence that still lingered between Sarah and Mark. And yet, the laughter felt different now, a hint of something hopeful, perhaps. It tugged at Sarah, calling out the dormant feelings she thought she had buried. But trust wasn't built overnight. As Ben began to plant the flowers, a mix of colorful marigolds and daisies, Sarah's mind raced. She tore her gaze from the two of them, focusing instead on the vibrant petals in the sunlight. Could forgiveness take root like those delicate blooms? "Mom!" Ben shouted, looking up with excitement. "Look how I'm planting them. I want them to grow tall." Tears pricked Sarah's eyes at his innocence. She wanted nothing more than to protect that light, to guard it from the shadows lurking just outside their garden's gates. And yet, was she standing in the way of that very growth? "Sarah," Mark broke through her thoughts, his voice low but earnest. She glanced up, and his eyes were searching, full of an intensity that made her heart flutter and ache. "Do you think could we start with just being friends? For Ben's sake?" He hesitated, then added, "I don't want to rush anything, but I'd love to be part of your lives again. Even if it has to be little by little. Trust needs to be earned." The words slipped out, a quiet reminder of the boundaries they'd both agreed upon. "I know," he replied, his face earnest. "And I understand that I need to show you I'm different now. It's not just words." The truth spilled out of him, raw and vulnerable. She tried to block out the memories of their past, the broken promises, the nights filled with doubt. But the promise of something new was like a siren call, luring her to a path she wasn't entirely ready to tread. Ben stood between them, happily chatting away about his plans for the flowers. "These are going to be the best in the whole neighborhood." Sarah's heart danced at his joy, a beacon of possibility. "They'll be amazing, buddy." She forced a smile, battling the tumult inside her. "Mom," Ben called again, turning to her. "Can we water them after? Please?" His eyes sparkled with anticipation, holding all the innocence that Sarah wanted to protect. "Of course, sweetie," she managed, her resolve slightly wavering. "See, Mark? It's like they need us to take care of them just like we need to take care of each other." The words hit her hard. Ben, in his childlike wisdom, had unknowingly illuminated a truth they all needed. They were fragile, just like those new plants. And nurturing trust would take time and commitment from all sides. As Ben turned back to his task, Sarah felt the warmth of something she hadn't expected to feel again, a flicker of connection. She glanced at Mark, and for the first time since their conversation began, she saw a hint of determination in his expression. But could they really do this? Could they navigate through the shadows together and find a way forward? She felt the weight of the moment looming, the air heavier than before. Could she open her heart, just a little? Or was she risking everything again for a future still shrouded in uncertainty? A question lingered in her heart, one that rattled her core. What if, after all these years of guarding her heart, she missed out on the chance for real happiness? And as the sun dipped lower in the sky, painting everything in hues of gold and orange, Sarah realized something was shifting in her. Maybe it was time to take a chance again. The wind rustled through the leaves, whispering its own secrets. What awaited them beyond this moment of tentative hope? She couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. Ben's excitement filled the garden as he placed each flower in the ground, his tiny fingers gently packing the soil around the roots. The world seemed to fade away when he was so immersed in his little task, and Sarah couldn't help but smile, despite her swirling emotions. "Mom! Look at this!" Ben exclaimed, holding up a marigold he'd just planted, dirt smudged on his cheeks. His innocence was a balm to her worried heart. "Great job, sweetie," she encouraged, her voice softening as she knelt beside him. Mark watched quietly, a hopeful smile playing on his lips. "You really are doing an amazing job, buddy," he added, and that small exchange, though simple, sparked a flicker of warmth that surprised Sarah. She took a breath, trying to concentrate on the moment instead of the walls she had built around her heart. As they worked together, the garden began to transform. Tension slipped away, replaced by the steady rhythm of planting and watering, laughter ringing out from Ben. At one point, Mark surprised them both by getting down on his knees beside Ben, sharing stories about his own childhood gardening adventures. "I used to think my tomatoes were the biggest and best in town," he laughed, and Ben followed with a chorus of giggles. But as the sun began its slow descent, painting the horizon with shades of copper and lavender, Sarah felt the familiar weight creeping back in. She glanced at Mark, who was still animatedly discussing their son's planting technique. He looked different, more grounded, more present. Her eyes fell to her hands, caked in dirt. "Are you really ready to try this?" she asked softly, startling Mark from his storytelling. "I mean, it's not just about planting flowers. It's our lives we're talking about." Mark's expression turned serious. "I've spent a lot of time thinking about what we lost," he said, his voice low but steady. "I'm not expecting things to be perfect. I just want the chance to be better. For you. For Ben." Sarah felt a swell of emotion. Could it really be as simple as that? She searched his face, desperate for an answer as her heart pounded. The memories clawed at her, his past mistakes, the sleepless nights she had spent worrying, waiting for him to change. "I just need to know you mean it," she whispered, almost to herself. "I want to prove it to you," he said, his sincerity palpable. "Small steps, right? That's what you said." Ben, unaware of the heavy conversation floating above him, looked up with excitement, his face lighting up as he asked, "Can we still go to the park later? I want to show you both my other new project." Sarah felt a smile break through. "Of course, buddy. And what is it?" "A secret," he shouted playfully, racing around the garden with the infectious energy of youth. As Ben playfully danced around them, Sarah felt a pocket of warmth expand within her. Would that warmth hold? Was there enough light left to forge a new path? It was dizzying to think about all the ways they might still trip over the past. "Okay, I need to ask," Sarah said suddenly, breaking through Ben's joyful chaos. "What does that look like? The friendship, I mean. Are you ready to take things slow?" Mark looked thoughtful, then nodded. "That is all I want. To earn your trust back, to be there for Ben and for you, no rush." As they began to tidy up the gardening tools, a profound silence washed over them. Sarah's heart raced at the prospect of a new beginning, each beat echoing with hope and fear alike. Did she have it in her to take small steps too? "What if I let myself want this?" she thought, the idea both thrilling and terrifying. Just then, as the first stars began to twinkle in the sky, Ben's voice broke through her spiraling thoughts. "Do you think the flowers will bloom tomorrow, Mom?" She stared at him, that innocent determination flooding her with an unexpected swell of hope. "Maybe some of them will," she said, glancing at Mark, their eyes meeting in a silent promise. That flicker of possibility hung in the air, thick with anticipation. What kind of future awaited them, and could they all truly nurture this fragile new connection? She took a breath, the night feeling charged around them. As they wrapped up for the evening, Sarah couldn't ignore the tugging question: would she have the courage to embrace this journey ahead? And beneath a blossoming sky, she knew one thing: the real challenge had just begun. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting their world in deep blues and purples. Ben was still buzzing with excitement, racing around the garden, his laughter echoing in the evening air. Sarah and Mark stood by, a few garden tools still in their hands, the dust of the day settling peacefully in the serene twilight. "I can't believe how fast he is growing," Mark said, half to himself. Sarah felt a wave of nostalgia wash over her, memories of Ben's first steps flooding back. Just yesterday, he was barely able to hold a seedling in his little palm. Sarah nodded, a bittersweet smile forming on her lips. "And now look at him, planting flowers like a pro. He is so proud." That pride was infectious. Ben reappeared, holding a small plastic bucket filled with rough sketches of what appeared to be elaborate structures made from sticks and stones. "Tada!" he declared, raising the bucket above his head. "This is my secret project. It's a castle. With a drawbridge." Sarah felt her heart swell. "That is amazing, buddy. What a great idea." She knelt down, excited to examine his drawings, but a good part of her wished she could feel the same kind of excitement that Ben radiated. Mark leaned close to Sarah, whispering, "Maybe we can build it together this weekend," his voice hopefulness itself. What could have felt like a simple suggestion instead sparked a fire in her heart. They could all work together again, be a family, and create something magical out of nothing. "That sounds wonderful," she replied, their eyes locking again for a moment. She knew this was a simple wish, but it felt monumental. Could they really strip away the past and build new memories? As the evening sky darkened, Ben scampered over to a patch of freshly turned soil. "Mom, can you help me? I want to plant some seeds for the castle garden, too." His enthusiasm pierced through Sarah's thoughts. With a nod, she fought her instinct to hesitate, not wanting to scar this precious moment. "You bet. Let's do it, buddy." The three of them set to work again, the tension of the past beginning to fade with every seed they pressed into the earth. After planting, they flopped down onto the soft grass, each of them spread out under the expansive night sky. "Look at the stars," Ben exclaimed, his voice filled with awe. "They're like little diamonds." Mark chuckled, his laughter rich and warm. "That is right, kiddo. Just like you, light and shining bright." Somewhere deep within Sarah, a determination began to bloom. Maybe there would be bumps along the way, but could it be possible that trust and love could grow again, as long as they nurtured it carefully, like their garden? Hours passed, and they talked and dreamed under the stars. Sarah felt a sense of belonging growing stronger with each moment. There was still fear, yes. But that fear was shifting, becoming something less daunting and more tangible, like the soil that held the promise of new flowers. "Promise me we can do this more," Ben said suddenly, a serious tone underlying his youthful exuberance. "Together, a family. Like in my drawings." Mark looked at Sarah, the question silently hanging in the air between them. "Of course we can," she said, her heart racing. "Every chance we get." But deep inside, doubts lingered, asking whether she was truly ready for the weight of the past to meet the thrill of the future. As dusk turned to Nightingale's song, Sarah feared that she was standing at the edge of something uncharted. Would it end in joy, or would the shadows of yesterday swallow their fragile dreams whole? With Ben's small hand in hers, they all huddled together, warmth shielding them against the creeping chill. She couldn't help but think about what would happen next, what choices would come in the days ahead. Where would their love lead? And it was then, beneath the blanket of stars, that she realized maybe the most significant step remained ahead of them, waiting just around the corner. Would they truly be brave enough to take it together? As dawn broke, the lingering shadows of night gave way to a brighter, more hopeful morning. The scent of fresh soil wafted through the air, blending with the earthy aroma of dew-laden grass. Ben, still caught up in the excitement from the night before, bounded through the yard, his laughter ringing like the sweetest music. Sarah watched him, the wide grin on his face igniting a warmth in her chest. She felt Mark's presence beside her, a quiet support that made the morning feel like a gentle promise. Together, they sat on the porch steps, sipping coffee as they watched their son play. The sunlight caught Ben's hair, transforming it into a halo, and for a moment, Sarah imagined the future they could have if they could all carry this joy forward. "Look at him," Mark said, his voice low and tender. "He is so alive with ideas." "Yeah," Sarah replied softly. "It's like he sees the world without any limits." Mark turned to her, a seriousness in his gaze that sent a chill down her spine. "I want that for us too. We need to be honest, not just with him but with ourselves. It can't just be a fleeting moment." Her heart raced at his words. Honesty meant facing all the fears they had buried, all the cracks in their family that begged for healing. But what if they discovered wounds too deep to mend? The thought twisted in her gut. "I know," she said, forcing herself to meet his intense gaze. "It's just I'm scared. And I don't know if I'm ready to unearth everything." Mark's expression softened. "I can promise it'll be easy. But I believe we can do it. We owe it to him, and to ourselves." She nodded, silently agreeing to jump into this vulnerable space together. It felt significant, the first step toward what could either be a beautiful new beginning, or a painful revelation they'd never recover from. She tried to shake off the doubt that clawed at her, but it persisted, like weeds in a garden. Just then, Ben came running, clutching his drawings. "Mom. Dad. Look. I want to make the castle really big. Can we do it today?" His excitement lit up the morning air, drowning out the ominous feelings that threatened to surface. "Yes, we can," Sarah answered, her voice more confident than she felt. Mark smiled, ruffling Ben's hair. "Let us get started," he said, as they walked toward the backyard where the magic would happen. As they gathered materials, Ben described his grand vision for the castle in a rush of words, his bright eyes sparkling with imagination. Sarah and Mark exchanged glances, a shared understanding passing between them. This was more than just a project. It was a chance for them to reinforce the foundation of their family together. Time passed in a whirlwind of laughter and shouts. The construction became an adventure, with Ben directing and Sarah and Mark following his lead. But underneath the fun lay a tension that couldn't be ignored. Each nail hammered and each stick placed forced them closer to confronting their past. When lunch rolled around, they settled under the shade of an old oak tree, the cool breeze providing a stark contrast to the heat of the summer day. Ben recounted stories of brave knights and magical kingdoms while Sarah and Mark exchanged wary glances, the moment feeling heavier than the playful narrative. "Tell us more about the knights," Sarah prompted, hoping to keep the mood light. Ben's face lit up. "They fight dragons. And they're always together as friends." Mark and Sarah exchanged another look. It wasn't just about knights or castles, it was a reminder of the importance of unity. They felt the weight of that truth sinking in. To face their dragons, they would need to stand shoulder to shoulder. But as the shadows lengthened, they all knew this feeling of togetherness had a fragile edge. They were on the cusp of something deeper yet perhaps darker. And as night began to close in on their day of building, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something momentous was about to break free from within. Would they muster the courage to confront it, or would those reflections disrupt the fragile harmony they had strived to build? The open sky above them began to fill with stars once more, each one whispering the secrets of the universe, but they felt like a mirror, a reminder of how far they had to reach. As Ben leaned closer, imagining paths within his castle, Sarah realized she was standing at a neck-breaking precipice, ready to either soar or fall. What lay ahead might just tip the balance of their new world, but would they plunge into the unknown together? The following morning, Sarah woke to the gentle chorus of chirping birds and a soft breeze wafting through her open window. Sunlight streamed in, warm and hopeful, casting a golden glow on the day ahead. She lay in bed, heart fluttering with anticipation, knowing that today was the day. The plan was simple: a family picnic at the park, a chance to reconnect, and a safe environment for open conversations. Ben's excitement was infectious as he dashed around the kitchen, helping Sarah prepare a basket filled with sandwiches, fruit, and his homemade cookies. The sound of his giggles reverberated through the house, a beautiful soundtrack of innocence and joy. "Mom, did you pack my favorite juice?" Ben called, peering into the basket with beady eyes. "Of course," Sarah replied, grinning as she placed the final touches inside. No picnic is complete without it. As they headed out, Sarah felt a sense of camaraderie between her and Mark as they carried the picnic blanket together. The morning sun soaked their skin, and for a brief moment, all the heavy topics they needed to discuss faded into the background. Arriving at the park, they found a cozy spot under a grand oak tree. The grass was lush and inviting, and Ben raced ahead to claim a section of the field as his own. Once settled, they spread out the blanket and began lunch. Sarah marveled at how natural it felt to laugh with Mark again. Memories danced around them, the past filled with warmth, affection, and love they thought lost forever. "Do you remember the summer family BBQs?" Mark asked, a wistful smile lingering on his lips. Sarah chuckled, recalling a time when laughter and love flowed without interruption. "How could I forget you trying to grill the perfect steak and nearly burning the whole backyard?" Despite the nostalgia, a shadow lurked at the edge of Sarah's mind. She needed to address the weight pressing against her heart, the conversations they'd been avoiding. Taking a deep breath, she looked to Mark, steering the moment toward sincerity. "Can we talk about us today? About where we stand?" Their son, busy focusing on a bug crawling in the grass, didn't he pick up on the shift? Mark's face grew serious. "Yes, we need to." Tentatively, she opened the dialogue that had been waiting like a pot simmering on the stove. "You know, I appreciate that you're trying. But there is still so much between us. It's more than just rebuilding. It's about facing the things that broke us apart." Mark nodded, his gaze steady and accepting. "I know. I've dedicated myself to improving and understanding what went wrong. I want to build a better version of us. But I also need to know we are ready to build it together, as a team." Her heart yearned for the hopefulness he offered, but she needed reassurance. "The past still haunts me. I worry it might overshadow any progress we try to make." "I understand that," he replied gently. "Every memory we shared is a lesson, and I don't want to forget the lessons. I want to acknowledge them so we can make informed choices moving forward." Her pulse quickened. Mark's earnestness pierced through the layers of fear cocooning her heart. "What about trust? Can we both admit that it's going to take time?" "Absolutely," he said. "Let us start on even ground, no expectations but the commitment to each other and to Ben." Sarah's heart felt lighter as a corner of hope unfurled inside her. They didn't have to rush this process, they could nurture it gently, like the flowers they had planted together. At that moment, Ben decided to join the conversation, sitting cross-legged by them, his eyes bright with curiosity. "Are you guys talking about my castle? Can we build it higher today?" The innocence in his voice softened Sarah's worries. She glanced at Mark, sharing a smile that spoke volumes. This was their family, a son full of wild ideas, and yes, perhaps they could make something incredible together. "Of course, kiddo. In fact, maybe we should make the castle the best one in the whole neighborhood," Mark exclaimed, and a wave of laughter bubbled within Sarah. She felt gratitude flood her chest, the tension melting away as they took turns describing how the castle would look with spirals and towers, hidden tunnels filled with magical treasures. In those vivid imaginations, the potential for their future solidified. Days blended into weeks, with each moment they spent together amplifying their progress. The park became a hub for bonding, a place where not just Ben played, but where Sarah and Mark rediscovered one another. They sought new experiences, creating memories encompassing laughter, vulnerability, and trust. As they stood together under the oak tree, working on their castle with Ben, Sarah felt a sense of belonging wash over her. The shadows that had loomed over her heart slowly began to dissipate, replaced by the vibrant hues of hope and renewal. "What do you think?" Ben asked, breathless, as he squinted at their creation. The castle stood tall, adorned with colors and light, a reflection of their dedication. "It's fantastic," Mark replied, pride swelling within him. "It really is," Sarah echoed. She placed a hand on Mark's shoulder, solidarity binding them in that moment. As they embraced their new life, Sarah realized that they were building not just a castle but a home, a sanctuary that housed their desires, dreams, and forgiveness. With each passing day, the layers of their love were painted with purpose. No longer just shadows of their past, they were faces shining bright, basking in the sun, united as a family in a way they never thought possible. And as they stepped back to admire their creation, hand in hand, Sarah felt an exhilarating rush. The future was uncharted, but for the first time, it felt like a canvas waiting for their strokes together. So, are you ready to join this story again? This is not just a tale to share but a lesson in resilience and hope. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness the magic of transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to support this channel. You need to subscribe now.